We're all ready? Thanks for Torah Anytime. The Kamashkach Pratis. And thanks Kol Alosh, and thank the Rabbeinu Shalom himself for the Gevaldik Hasadim do Isaac in Zikir Rabim. By the way, there's one thing better than Zikir Rabim, and that's breaking midas. Nothing comes before that. Zikir Midas comes before Zikir, before anything. Fix your midas. The guy says, Zikir Achiyas Adam, Shviyas HaMidas and blah blah blah, or else you're in trouble. More important than raising kids. Okay, you got to watch what you're saying. Some people might take it wrong. They're going to ignore certain vital areas of their life. You got to watch what I'm saying. But there's a time and place where you got to say it loud and clear. Where, let's say, somebody's doing something for you in a heilige thing that's important, and he doesn't do what he's supposed to be doing, and you're all upset. So if you realize it's the Abish that testing your midas, it's much easier to deal with it. If you go around all day and you're going to Vadim, like in a Vadim, with the Iker. There was a Heilig in a Vadim Yidi. He came from Chsidish Ha'olam, a Taira Yida. His name was Reb Yisrael Naivaina. The Satmar of his Mishpacha was a little bit upset that he left his background to become an Vadim. And they were tainas. They went to Rebbe's. They went to the Satma. The parents went to the Satma. The Satma said, he's Navadig. You'll have nachas from him. He's Baragesh Lieberman. You'll have nachas. Don't worry, he's fine. Now, what was his aura? He was exposed to all the shittas in the world. And he picked Navadig. And he said the reason why is because by them, everything was midas. It's a major difference. If midas is just another thing on your agenda, it's a different story completely. You won't steig the same. You won't look at things the same. You're still going to fetch plenty. Because why didn't this happen? That happened. This is ruchnis. This is learning. This is chuvesvas shalom bayis. This is yidul bonim. This is zikir rabim. There's so much important things. And the main thing in your life is breaking your own midas. It makes life so much easier. Of course, you got to know. You need a Rebbe. You can blunder. You say, do the wrong thing. You have to know. Every time. There's no rules, says Shel Salanta, and that's also not a rule. Sometimes there are rules. Anyway, when something didn't happen the way you wanted in your Zikir Rabim, if you are into Zikir Rabim, it didn't happen. I had such a hefsid. You're in trouble. But if the main thing is not Zikir Rabim, the main thing is breaking midas, then the thing that didn't go well is a bracha. Because you're saying, I didn't get angry, I didn't get upset, and the schus that I didn't get upset is going to bring me a bigger bracha than I've had before. And that's exactly what's going to happen. If you believe it. If you believe in the greatness of breaking midas, it works much more. You believe you have to be mamin. In Navadik, they had a rule. They used to open yeshivas. Reb Geshem was makbid. Two should open together. When two open together, you're going to have an automatic rivalry. And they dafka did that. I myself witnessed two of the big guns, the big Torah builders. I used to watch them getting together in the same car, the same truck. They were doing something together. What's that all about? I know these two. They're different types, different opposites, different shittas a little bit. And that's exactly why they dafka went together. Break your midas. That's more important than whatever we're working on. Working on building this first, break your midas. The whole world stands on that. Of course, you got to know what you're doing. Again, I repeat. Sometimes I say, and I've heard this in the Novandik too, just drop everything with your midas. Jump into the Rabbim. That will take care of all your midas. Of course, you got to watch your midas too. But there's Yadu, Rabbi Miller brings down, the Yishai never did an Aveira. Amram never did an Aveira. Moshe did do. David did do. Who are the big people of Klai Yisrael? Moshe and David more. So what's going on? So the teretz is the person that's involved in the klal. We look away from certain things that they do. They're in the klal. I have a certain person, Eden. He was a man in the klal, and he used to speak lashon hara, and he used to say things. I was once on the telephone with one of the biggest tzaddikim in the universe, a world-famous person that I don't want to say his name in public without his permission, but the biggest, very, very biggest in learning and everything. The world is butler and about you name it, learning. I was hesitating on speaking lashon hara on a certain issue, and he says, "Cut it out. Let's hear it. Let's hear what's going on. Stop being from." There's a makam for them. So your person that's dealing with the rabbim sometimes can't afford. So he's got to deal with the rabbim. There's certain coolest. I had an adam gadol in my house. He was davening b'yechidus, and he told me himself, Yosek and the rabbim. It's a different story. Different rules. Of course, watch it. You need a rebbe. You need a paisik. When and where and what. Certain people have different. Then I want to tell you something. They once put out, it was in Washington Heights, Rabbi Jacobs. There was a kashrus letter, something, whatever it was. So I wanted to know about it. It was geared to a certain community. And I think Rabbi Jacobs told me, Lav Dafka, I should be samech on what's going on over there. Because it's for those people. They need that. There's a mice, what happened? Somebody, shepherd, the Torkataniks in Yerushalayim, those who were fighting the Tzionim, they were getting a little too sharp or whatever. So somebody from Berlin, an Adam Gadol from one of the German, he got up and he started saying different than what they did, and he was criticizing. And the report was, look, we know what's good for us. You know what's good for you. We know what's good for us. You don't know our situation. You mind your business, we mind ours. People are different. Some people need a certain... Somebody said this in public. I heard the tape. One of the greatest speakers in Klal Yisrael. He made a joke out of the American boys when they're playing basketball. They're going with the Tisha B'Av Shiach. He made a joke out of it. And who was sitting there? Rav Kanarik, not Rabbi Yisrael Kanarik, Zatzal. Yisrael Kanarik's my Rebbe from New Rochelle, Pixel. His brother. His brother was an Adam Gadol. He's a Mashgiach in Chofetz Chaim Yeshiva. Tired of Yid, Rabbi Shlomo Kanarik's father. And he was sitting listening to the shmooze. And the way this person, it was very funny, Grada. A big speaker in Klal Yisrael, big name, accepted everywhere, pretty much. And he heard him say, making fun of the Tisha B'Av Shich of the Americans. And I heard him say, that's not a shmooze for American boys. You're very good, but you're not an American. You don't understand their mentality. You can't speak like that to American boys. No more sneakers? What are you doing to them? You got to drop the whole Gemara, especially in those days. We're going way back where there was, and you got any yeshiva bachi, you were jumping. Because Klal Yisrael was starting to get on its feet. You have to track them. I heard the Baron Cutler. It's true or not, I don't know. I would definitely believe it. The Baron Cutler, Zatzal, would tell the star, there were Elohim floating around. He wanted to attract them to come to Lakewood. And Rabban would say, come to Lakewood, I have steak. And I remember as soon as I came to Lakewood, the food was known to be ultra good. I don't know about today. I think today it's even better. But when I came there first, it was unbelievable. The food, it was known. The food's great. What's that? Why does it have to be so good? They know, the American Rosh Hashivas know what they need to know. This is for us. I need my ice cream. I heard B'Shem Baruch Beh. I heard this Rav Chuna Hertzman Zatzal, Baruch Beh. He was from the Gav Fruma. He said, American, I'm not sure. I heard this way back. The vote's true, 1,000,000,000%. The American to do something before davening that you normally don't do with his coffee. I don't know what it meant exactly. It's worth more than an Eila, than a this, than the biggest things. They need it. Leave him alone. It's a different bria, or else you're going to lose him in Gatson. You know what Bishal Salanta did for Amsterdam? He got a hold of Amsterdam, was Machal Shabbos. He said, come here, keep being Mishal. He didn't say keep being Machal Shabbos, but he didn't jeopardize them. He said, just write when it was a port city, and the boats come in, and you have to take out your pen and write with a shinui. You're not allowed to write in Shabbos. You just write with a shinui. And every time he came to Amsterdam, he told them another thing. Okay, try a little less. Slowly but surely, he was carving them. But you're going to hit him over the head with a Bible, you kill him. They're going to run away. This guy's too from. Goodbye. So he was easy with them. And you yourself have to know. Don't turn yourself off just because you heard a schmooze about this guy who's looking at learning, and he said, like, whoever stops schmoozing in the middle of learning, they're going to give him hot coals to eat up. That's for the guy who stops learning. Go listen to it. Yeah, maybe some people are good at it. Some people, yeah, I like that. Go for it. But some people go, you want to kill him? You want to make the guy walk the rest of his life with a guilt on it? By the way, that issue, I once asked Rabbi Mullah about, I once used to learn where it wasn't so much for me to stop learning. I used to learn. And I was more into the yeshiva, so, I wasn't a malamed those days. And I was into it more. And in the middle of learning, someone's talking, what do you do? So I asked Rabbi Miller said, just smile and don't open your mouth, just smile in a nice way and point to the Gemara in a nice way. I'm in the middle of learning, Don't be mean to the guy. I once asked the same question to Rabbi Chatzkel. Rabbi Chatzkel said, to answer somebody, it's a chesed. It's interesting. That's God. You got to ask your local rabbi what you have to do. I'm not getting into that sugi b'chlal. But the word is, everybody's different, everybody got to know. Now, I had a murder gemaisa yesterday. Was it yesterday? Yeah. I had a murder gemaisa, Rabbi Isai. A murder gemaisa. I needed to write about Novandik. There was a great story about Novandik. And where was it? In the story of Rabban Kotler, written by my dear Chava, Rabbi Yitzchak Dershowitz, Zeichet Tzaddik Avraham, the biggest masmidim in Malikud. I should mention his name for his Heilig and Hashem and Yenavelt. I want to send him a package. I'm mentioning him to be a schus for him. The Heilig and Mensch. We used to machlesu the Sayam Purim. 1 year I ate by him, 1 year he ate by me. It's interesting. The year that we didn't eat, that year he was after. Who knows? I'm going to start making cheshbonos. I'm a Litvak. Don't bother me with that. Abashainim sounds good. But whatever. He was a heilige mensch at Tzaddik Yisei Dolam. And he was nifta on Reb Baron's yotzai. It was nifta Reb Noson's yotzai. Something's going on here. And he was devoted to Reb Baron. Like he was the one that wrote a book on Reb Baron. It wasn't a book. It was full of Torah, every word he said was carefully written. It was a Musa Sefer. All the Reb Chaim Epstein, everybody loved it. His Sefer was, Reb Baron's Talmidim said, this is number one. Anyway, he has a story there with Novandik, Reb Baron and Novandik. And that was a great story for me. Oh, I need that one. I want to write it. You're going to see it in the next week's B'tachon. Or maybe this week's B'tachon weekly. Yeah. I needed it for this week. I wrote it something. Okay, anyway. So I saw it, and then I go to school. Now, at school, during recess, I write my, sometimes, not always, sometimes, I'm not a pickle, I write my B'tachon weeklies during recess. So I'm writing it, and then I get the story. I said, I forgot that book at home. I forgot the book at home. I should have brought it to school. I'd copy it right out. I now have the exact details. I can't just write a story. Got to be a little bit more professional. As I'm thinking, boom, I'm standing in front of the assistant principal's office. And right in front of my face, there is that book. I said, what a hashgacha pratis. I'm just thinking about it, and there it is. That's not such a common book, has it? I never saw it before. No, it is over there. It's right in front of my nose. He asked permission. I let me use it. And I'm looking at it. I'm looking for the story. Now, I was expecting service. David's just spoiling me rotten, as usual. And I was expecting, after such a hashgacha, I open up, the first page is there. No, Babala. I'm looking, and I'm looking, and I'm looking, and it's not there. And I'm looking, I killed 10 minutes, or what, 15 minutes. I finally got it. And I told myself, what's that all about? You're showing me what hashgacha, that the book is right in front of my nose when I need it, and so unusual it should be like that. So why don't I just find it right away? I wasted so much time. And I remember that Punkra Baron said this, B'Shem, a Gemara and Menachos. Check that out. It's a Mishas Rabban, the first chaylik, I'm pretty sure. It's a Gemara Menachos that Amelis B'Torah does not only mean when you're harving in a taisvis. Amelis B'Torah means when you're walking a mile to come to yeshiva. And it's a hot day. That's Amelis B'Torah. Or you're looking to a saver and it's not happening. Whatever. That's Amelis B'Torah. Rabban Punk's the one who said that. And I said, the Avishti, yes. So you spend it, I'm wasting my time. You're not wasting your time. It's been a shemaim. It's a form of Amelis B'Torah. It's a form every inch on the way. The Hechsha Mitzvah, the Chsidim make a big spiel out of Hechsha Mitzvah. You think a Hechsha Mitzvah is a joke? Trying to do a mitzvah, even better than the mitzvah. It's not poshet. Sometimes it's... Anyway, I got a story to tell you that's neighbors. I have his picture. Do you have the Novandik book over here? There's an English book called Novandik. Do you see it over there? Not here? Okay, it's fine. We don't need it. It's fine. If you see it, it's good. If you're not, we're fine. In that book, I also found it 1, 2, 3. I needed the story. I found it 1, 2. It's fine. I found the story 1, 2, 3. The Drozhene Schmidt. I had once read about him. I had to double check that story. And next week's B'tachon week, they're going to have this in Hashem. The Drozhene Schmidt. Who's that? The Bachram from the Vardig who had to go to the Yom. You have some schnapps for me? Some Stropkiv schnapps, please. I want to drink. I'm a little bit of an alcoholic. A little bit. Not too bad. I want you to know in my class, 1 year I was drinking. I'll never do it again, believe neither. I drank a lot in class. Boys, if you're going to be good, Rebbe's going to get shicker. Oh, boy, they're going to see that happen. They love it. And I made my shtick. I made believe I'm dizzy. I started walking wobbly. And that year, I had a lot of, every day I had another bottle, and I drank a little, and I made freilich. You'll soon see why I'm never doing that again. That Purim, there were no checks. There were bottles of schnapps instead of checks. I had bottles and bottles and bottles of parents. Amen. The Chosar Shem Bayachai should be mailits for us. We should have all the Yeshuas, all the Yidden. Shem should give them whatever they want. I have a close friend of mine. He's going to the Kever Shem Bayachai. He's going to ask for this, for that. I says, while you're staying there, thank the Yevishtiv. It's fine. Thanks a lot. You're the sweetest guy around. Look, he loves to do. You got schusam for looking. Even more than finding. You'll soon see. Anyway. So, I told him, you're going to ask Reb Shimon this, or ask that, ask the Yevishtiv, schus Reb Shimon. Sit there and thank a little bit. Don't forget that parsha. Always get involved. He looked at me a little funny, but he's going to do it. Watch what happens. I bet she's going to get more mileage than anybody. Whenever you talk to the Yevishtiv, don't forget to thank. In fact, you should get carried away with so much thanking, you should forget to ask what you want. Anyway, the Rabbi Shimon is going to like you because he was a thanking type of person. He used to thank the Yevishtiv, full of simcha. He was so into thanking. When Moshe Rabbeinu was nifta, they made a tainus. When Shimon Chaim Zeptar made a simcha. What's going on here? Because he was so positive. The Heilige Rabbi Shimon. Anyway. Whatever it means, we understand. So, the Drozhene Schmidt. The Drozhene Schmidt. Here comes the story. Novandig Bachrim were being conscripted to the, what is it called? When they're taken to the army. And they wanted to get a bracha not to have to go to the army. By the way, the Chavetz Chaim used to tell people where they're holding in this. He was known. When he gave you a bracha, you knew you're not going. And when he didn't give you a bracha, he gave you a Machne Yisrael. What's Machne? He gave you a Machne Yisrael. That's a sefer he wrote for the soldiers. That was a simon, you're going. Now, the Drozhene Schmidt used to give brachas and brachas and brachas. He was the biggest star. Here's a picture of him. His face is on fire. You see what a Heilig Yiddish was. His brachas worked. He said, you're not going to the army? You didn't go. One person, he didn't say. Instead, he started crying. And that person did go to the army with a lot of tzaras. But he got out. Whatever happened, I don't know. But he knew everything. He became one of the biggest Balim Meifes. Everyone ran to the Drozhene Schmidt. Who was this man? He was 9 years old. He lost his parents. He never had a chance to learn. Rachman is a Yassam. And they pushed him to go to work. And he became a blacksmith. And he worked and learning, what's with learning, and he loved learning. But he couldn't learn. And while he was a blacksmith, they used to overhear him saying psukim. In his house, they had a chok, a chumash with a chayk. That's what he was. I don't know how weit he was in learning. Let's see the show, you know. What? Like it's a sefer on Tanakh, like it's a little this, a little that, yeah. I don't know how big he was in learning, but for sure, he was not a Rosh Yeshiva. He wasn't a person who was involved in learning the way. Now listen to this one. He was busy all the time. Monday and Thursday, he walked 9 miles to Pinsk, where he lived, and Pinsk was a 9-mile distance. 15 kilometers. 15, 16, 9 miles. He walked there and then he came back. You know what that is? Why? To speak and learning with the Rav. There's a Rav in Pinsk. And he wanted to speak and learning with him. He got in crazy. 2 Rabbanim there, then he spoke with him. All his kashas that he had. 9 miles. What about Bittul Torah? What's going on here? You learn anything? To walk 9 miles, how long does it take? A couple of hours, am I right? How do you do it? And then you got to go back 9 miles. But he loved Torah. Every Monday and Thursday, he walked 18 miles throughout the day. Must have been a giver, was a blacksmith. But Stamazay. That's what he did. When is a person like this shtay? I want to say hold on him. Rabbi Aaron's vought about Yegir B'Torah. That's Yegir B'Torah. Walking 9 miles, he didn't learn a word. So what? The Abishah saw this man has Mesiras Nefesh for Torah, but you're not learning. I don't care. You're walking 9 miles because you love Torah so much. They say he couldn't wait. The day that he had to go, he got up super early. It was still in the middle of the night when he started trekking. He couldn't control himself. He had a Gavaldig Avos on Torah. That's not. He felt shortchanged. He never was able to learn in yeshiva normally. And that man was the Baal Meifes. Not those people that was sitting 3 starim a day and everything's going smooth. But him who was learning Shvach, a blacksmith. When did he learn? Who never was able to learn because since he was a kid he had to go to work. That person was the Baal Meifes, a major Baal Meifes, a tzaddik Yisraelim. You know when the Nazis came, they destroyed the whole cemetery. I think in Pinsk it was. He was near Pinsk, that area. They destroyed every single kever. His, they couldn't destroy. At the Maisa, they couldn't destroy his kever. Anyway, What do we have from this? The next time you're on the way to yeshiva and the bus messes you up. Or next time you're on the phone and, it's not working. Let me try it again. Phone broke. What are we going to do now? I got to make an important phone call. They keep you waiting. They'll know their erech deretz. I mean, they don't. It's not working. Is that anybody know about that stuff? You know, they say, I once heard about, not the cousin with so many, but a long time ago, when you got on a phone, it started off with hello, and it ended up with goodbye. Today, it starts off with hello, and it ends up with hello, 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 hello. That's the way it ends off. Hello, hello, are you there? Nobody home. Don't be so upset with the guy. We have the guy, that's the matzah. You know, so much frustration throughout your day. And you know that that frustration is your gold mine. You had to get in and find it right away. Good! But I'm such a batman, I'm always losing things. Good! But I'm bittul Torah. Good! But bittul Torah. Think of the druzhin as bittul Torah. So, bittul Torah. Bittul Torah. If this is the Ashkache, there was an Avardigi Ingerman who lives in Lakewood. Mookie Diamond's stark. He had a child who wasn't well. Talmud of Rapper. Chil Perish Arafur Shalema Taida Yid. He's the mamash giant. Maybe should help him. Anyway, and maybe should help that Avardigi Beismeder should remain. Right? Anyway, so Rapper. So Rapper told me this man's a massive b'tachon. He sure is. We once got together. I think it was so Salantas. Yard whatever. I made a whole vad, a kinos, and he spoke. A kinos, not a vad. We go to a shul somewhere and we get together. I'd like to continue doing that. If anybody wants to help me, wanted to keep moving. The yard sites, so whatever certain occasions, I have Slobodka friends who come and they speak. Tired young light. I have the Rav of the courtyard, it's Jet Tzaddik, Rabbi Ralbag. He speaks usually. They have, what's his name speaks? He's from Slobodka, he's from Chevron. They're good, we like them. They're our type. They're plenty close to the valley. Slobodka, big spiel. They're great. And then there's another one who Sadia Grandma speaks, tidying about. They're both Slobodkas. And then we have our own Chevron. I speak, Blumberg, Stark. And, of course, whoever. Now, he spoke, and he said that he's a Rosh Chabura. He loves to learn. He knocks on learning. His wife gave birth to a baby who was not well. And that was the end. For the next 4 months, he's home with a sick child. By the way, with his b'tachon, he healed the kid. Kid out of Shalema. He's married, this fellow. He walked around, he turned around, Eberster, make the kid good, and met them all. The kid's talking, the kid's moving, the kid's doing it. But in the meantime, for months, he was busy with a kid, and he made a remark. He said, if he had not learned the Novhardok, it would have been a disaster. Because if he had chinuch, learning, which, Baruch Hashem, there's nobody underage over here, they shouldn't hear this. The Bacham should taka hear that. Learning. Or else, who knows? You're going to start turning him into Bali Musi, you'll mess him up. You got to know, a Bacham shouldn't hear certain things, but we're allowed to hear it. Faket. It's good for us. Learning, he was taught doing Ratzon Hashem is what I came here for. It so happens to be, usually that means learning. But the main thing he says, if not for that chinuch, he would have been devastated. Messing up my time, I'm not learning, everyone's steiging, and I'm busy with this kid. Didn't bother him. I'm here to do the Ratzon Hashem. Okay. Now, boy say, I am having weird situations going on. Crazy things. I'm going to start from way back. Crazy. Now, wait till you hear this. Rabbi Golombek, watch out with this. I once said this. I just found I didn't believe it myself. So lately it's not working. I'm so busy. You're gaining weight. That's fattening. Oh boy. As soon as you know that it's fattening, the button pops on the spot. How does that happen? That happens to me many times. Right after I realize you ate something that makes you gain weight, boom, the button pops. What's going on? It's in the mind. You're not going to believe me. You guys are going to, oh boy, this is the end. Or maybe it's the beginning. We're going to have a lot of happy people when they hear this one. I once said this before, but I just found it in my notes. And I found it, and I see, your notes are important. Keep those records. They keep me going. Because today, I'm so careful. I'm telling you, kachab. I started being careful. I have certain rules where you can really lose weight. I did all the rules. The more I stuck to the rules, the more I gained weight. I didn't need this, didn't need that. The next day, boing! And I did it again. Next day, boing! The more I stopped, the more I gained weight. How many people know what I'm talking about?
That's the problem.
Am I right? The problem is in your head. Because you're so worried about your weight. Thinking about your weight does the job. You don't have to eat anything. You'll starve your head off. You're worried about your weight? Chedidas Adam Yitei Maike, said Shlomo HaMelech. You're afraid? That's the problem. The fear will make you, you're always worried about your weight all day. Your head, if they ever open up your head, you had a belt, they open up a person's head, what were you thinking about all day? You're going to find a lot of embarrassing things. All day long, how's my weight doing? That's terrible. Don't worry. There's worse things. Anyway, so Mustamas Hashem, Shemayim, whatever. But that's what happened to me. Come upon him. And I got frustrated. Go eat what you want. The English can come. But when I read this, it did a job. Now, the same person could be a different madrigas of bטחון. And I don't remember when I wrote this. It was several years ago. A few years ago. Maybe 10 years ago. And I wrote there, I once ate a ton of ice cream. Did Rebbe eat ice cream? You heard that? Heintige Rebbes are interesting. I have a chassid. Lately, my jokes. I don't know if he's davening. I have a 12-year-old chassid who, he calls me up, tells me his joke. You're a very sweet kid. I love the kid. He calls me up a lot. And he told me, Rebbe, I'm davening that you should have good jokes. And since he's davening, my jokes are skyrocketing. And he said, this is a Heintige Rebbes need a different mahalach. They need a special chassid who davens for the Rebbe's jokes. Make sure they're good. I tell you what was happening. It's very like a Maisa. I have a shul, and one time I was really hilarious. I don't know myself. What got into you? There are places on the floor. And there's a kid that used to daven with us. A sweet like anything kid. And he told me, on the way home, we were walking home after Friday night. He says, Rabbi Mendel, I was on the bus, and the kids made fun of me in school. School bus made fun of me. And I said, Rebbeinu Shalom, I will not answer. It's a big schooler, big schus. When you don't answer, someone makes fun of you. Now you can ask anything you want. And I asked that you should have great jokes. And now you know why tonight you were so funny. It was me. The kid told me this. This is a different kid, by the way. I have my friends, I have an interesting type of gabayim. It's a new door. You need a special mamuna to daven for the jokes. You need a special, get somebody to daven those jokes, you'll be good. I have a friend of mine, he's Yankel Miller's son. He lives in Toronto, sweet like sugar, Swedish guy, tall guy, very nice. We joke around with each other. And we give each other brachas. And the last time I met him, he said, give a bracha that the Elam should chop my jokes. That's a big thing, don't worry. How devastating it is, they don't chop. I thought I was funny and they're looking at me, no good. Anyway. So where are we up to? Now, I'm going to tell you how the Eibishter is so in charge of this world. I told you about my keys. It's an old story. Here's my key. See this key? I have 3 of them. I need this for my car. 2 of these keys did not work to save my life. I was using the 3rd. I tried them 20 times each. 100 times each. That's not working. Goodbye. The 3rd, this works. So these 2 are hanging around. Finally decided, when you get a chance, go to the guy who take care of the key and fix it. But I didn't get a chance. Like a week later, I lost the good one. And I'm stuck with these 2 that don't work. And I got to get to school. I was late. I says, "Better shall make the key work." It worked. And it worked forever. Suddenly it's back in business. Makes no sense. And said I took the other key that broke, and I said, "Eibishter, make that one work too." And it worked. Unbelievable. Doesn't make sense at all. Listen to this. I was once at my school. I get you, Reb Shimon, tomorrow, go all out. Reb Shimon is for us. He's Novandig and Reb Shimon. They relate to him. His Talmidim, not Stam. Daven, say, Reb Shimon, do something for us. We want to be like you. Fapak the world. He had the world in the garbage. No wonder he was so happy. Because he was, he was Novandig, away from everything. Daven, Reb Shimon, Bayachai. It should be a Melet Yesha for us. And we should do things the Chavoidai. Shimon Bayachai. Anyway, so, alles gets. So what happened? That's what happened with the keys. Now, I'm not finished. My desk, I needed a key to my desk. I found this in my notes. Oh, I forgot it. I was in the middle of talking about my weight business. Let's finish with the weight. Do you know I ate a ton of ice cream and I lost weight the next day? And I fressed my head off and I kept losing weight. Oh, now I remember. Why did it work then? I davened. I asked Eibishter, please do me a favor and make me lose weight when I eat. It worked like a fiddle. Now, I heard that Rabbi Golombek said that in public. And I heard he got 2,000 phone calls from 2,000 plumpy ladies who are devastated over their weight. Most of them are probably nowhere near what, they're not as bad as they think they are. But in this Western society, chas v'chalila Hashem yirachem, you gain 2 pounds, it's pekuach nefesh. You're not allowed to gain a pound. Then you have to get, till you disintegrate. You have to turn into a stick. Whatever, he got a lot of phone calls. And the ladies would go, Meshuggah, I think the men also, whatever, because he said that. And I think he told one of the ladies, he told her, she said, can I do that? He says, depends your madrega. You got to know what you're holding. Now, I was holding those days. It worked. But I davened first. Eibishter, please make this work. And I had my diet, my recipe, what I ate. I was fressing and losing weight. You imagine? If someone could bring, but I recommend keep saying it. And don't give up. Keep saying it. Eating makes you lose weight. And be mispal that you shouldn't worry so much about your weight. People gain weight because their brains are always worried about gaining weight. That goofa makes them gain weight. Without doing nothing. The worry brings the thing you're afraid of. It's one of the rules of the universe. The thing you're afraid of comes to you. You ever see a dog? A dog. I once got bitten by a dog here in Lakewood. And nothing happened to me. My pants were ripped. And I called the owner. What did you do? My dog? That can't be. My dog, that's Tzaddik Ador. Very protective of their dogs. Anyway, but it's Yedua. Those people, there is a lady who lives down the block, an old woman, an 80-year-old woman. The dogs love her. There's a vicious dog that she used to own, that anybody gets near that dog, forget it, you're in trouble. And the dog and her, that's a shidduch. She and the dog, it's gewaldig. Why is that? She loves that dog. She's not afraid of him. And the dog feels it. You're not afraid of me, I'm not afraid of you, and it's a shidduch. She's got the dog. I heard this from another neighbor. It's a metzias in the Bria. Well, if you're really not afraid, you can get along with an animal. I mean, I wouldn't try it, but I wouldn't try to put myself in it. Anyway, so where were we holding? So, what happened? I was missing the key to my desk in my school, and I took the wrong key, and it worked. Did you hear that? I don't believe in anything except for the Eibishter. The wrong key worked. I have a lot of these stories where a machine gets nervous. I spoke to 4 different repairmen who work with copy machines, goyim, who are always fixing copy. They all told me the same thing. If you're upset and you're nervous, the machine suddenly goes haywire, as if to take revenge against your anger. Ask them. Ask the guys that work. I'm always asking them. They're always telling me yes, yes, and they laugh. Don't ask me why, but that's how it works. You have a deadline, sugar, the machine rebels. Is that something? Anyway, so a person has to know that the Eibishter runs the world. And I'll tell you something else. When I don't speak well, this happened many times, I felt you didn't speak good. What do? I go home, and I say, Eibishter, make it should be a great speech. I'm afraid. And always, the next day, it was amazing. I daven. Everything by me is tefillah. You daven, you get whatever you want. My wife, we went to the Beis Olam yesterday. My shviga was her yortzeit. We had to go to Dean's, New Jersey. The plan was, I drive there. Don't tell my wife. If there's any ladies listening, please don't tell this to my wife. It's okay if you do. We'll live with it. She knows me already. Listen to this, Mice. It just happened. Now, I don't mind driving. It's a nice sunny day, big spiel. It's pleasant to drive. It's only a 45-minute drive. But my time is precious. I got to learn. So my wife said, she's going to drive there. I'll drive back. We usually do that. When we go to New York, whatever it is, I'm always driving back. It's fine. But this time, I says, I'm not going to ask my wife that I want to drive. I want her to drive back, but I want to learn. So I'm not going to ask her anything. So, but I'm asking the Eibishter. I says, Eibishter, you do me a favor. I want my wife to drive back. Listen to this. She drove there. The way back, she's suddenly in the driver's seat. And she drove back. And she says, hey, why did I do that? Why did I get into the driver's seat? You see that? How I have remote control. How I control my wife, control everybody. A nasty guy. Hey, ladies, this is not for you. Don't. You're not going to trust your husbands anymore. Or maybe you're going to do the same shtick on your husbands. But I do this. I do it. I know there's nobody home. If it's an issue that I can't deal with. On one side, it was a little hard having guests for Shabbos. So I dafka wanted. And it was hard for my wife. So I turned around. And I said, I made up. I'll help a lot. I'll do a lot of work. That's not the point. She gets a little whatever. Avishta, make it work. I approached my wife. Oh, for sure. Why not? Bring my wife flowers. She doesn't like flowers. Until one day I says, Avishta, make my wife like these flowers. I come home. Oh, they were gorgeous. My Talmidim, when I buy them nash, so they should learn, I daven, Avishta, make them like the nash. And watch what happens. You bring the Avishta every inch of your life. It's always daven, always daven. Hashem will test you. It's not always going to work. Sometimes it'll go the other way. Don't be, keep doing it. That's what Rabbi Miller brings down. Rabbi Yena in Mishlei. Should know Hashem in every move you make. Says Rabbi Yena, there are people for big things, they run for bטחון, someone sick, bטחון, parnosa, bטחון. But crossing the street, that I'll do it myself. Or the day-to-day stuff, that I'll enjoy my vodka. That I'll keep myself. You want to enjoy your vodka? Daven. Avishta, help. The vodka shouldn't bother me. Before you start eating, Avishta, please help. This, what's a real gooky thing that's you're not supposed to eat if you're losing weight? What's a real thing that you got to watch out for? What? Kishka? Heavy, oily Hungarian food. Kegel. Avishta, please help that the kegel shouldn't make me gain weight. I'm going to tell you something. For many years, I used to eat, I wanted different type of foods, but my wife's, she likes to cook, and she likes to make good stuff, and I feel it's not fair to her. She's working so hard, and you really don't, I have a different diet. I'm not such a Hungarian type that needs fatty foods. I'm not that type. My wife is more Hungarian. And years and years and years, I say, my wife made it. I'm eating what she makes to make her happy. And it worked like a fiddle. I didn't gain no weight. Nothing happened. I said, the schus of, like this, if I eat like this, I'm making my wife happy. I'm not saying, I hit a certain point where I decided, stop making your wife happy. You're going to turn into an elephant if you keep with your wife's mahalach. So I stopped. I said, my dear wife, from now on, I'm going to either make salads or I can't. It didn't work. David wants me to eat the fatty foods, and he's going to keep my weight down. The schus that you're eating your wife's fatty foods. Now, not everybody this is going to work for. For me, that's how it works. Everybody's different. Some people have to be, more realistic. What?
Now, no guilt feelings for eating kugel.
Yeah, eat, sure. But have in mind, now, for some people it'll work. Some people this works. Some people it doesn't. Everybody's different. Some people can't play games. Like all those Nebuch ladies that try to, sure enough, there is a book that tells you that weight is taka in the mind. And you can lose weight just by the way you think. And a 20-year-old girl wrote me a whole thing how she lost 15 pounds even though she ate normal foods. And I told her to write it up, and I have it here. How'd you do it? She says, I listened to Rabbi Mendel. She didn't listen to me, she listened to Rabbi. She heard me third person already. She heard Golombik b'shem Rabbi Mendel. I says, and what happened when she cheated? She ate too when she got carried, she cheated. So what happened then? You know what she said? Oh, that was no problem. I just said Adarabba. I used Rabbi Mandel's Adarabba. See, I'm sitting there, wow. Somebody comes over to me yesterday, a yid from Bnei Brak. See the Shia, sweetie, very nice fellow. A big Magad Shir. He said I turned his life around. He's collecting money. He doesn't want money from me. Just wants to thank me because his whole life turned around. Because he listens to me. And he used to be a strict Rosh Yeshiva. Anybody, you started with me, you're in trouble. And now, he's chilled. He laughs at everything, and he jokes. He says his whole family turned around. And all his Talmidim, and another guy, Diane, from Bar Park, Williamsburg, Diane comes over to me. He's a different person. Because all the people, he used to be very, now he's not into covet, so life is so much easier. Not into covet, I don't care so much. Covet is a churban. Keep away from covet, mine after mina. You work for the Eibishter as much. You need a lot of tefillah for that. Now, what time is it? 9:04?
I used your advice. I was sitting by a gathering, and the compote was good.
What?
Needed a refreshing. They gave like apple sauce, like compote, like the watery compote.
It was good.
A few left over there, and there was a chubit sitting next to me. I don't know what to do. I decided to go under a Mendel mallet.
What? Yeah.
Do you mind passing me? And he looked at me like, I said, no, I can pass it to him.
That's good. That's great. I had someone, one of my big chassidim, comes to my house, and my wife had made some good stuff, some ziti, and he says, oh, you got any ziti around? I said, sure. And I gave him the whole thing, and you're not eating enough, and made sure you ate up the whole thing. And he was eating very comfortably. I says, this guy's very comfortable. And then I said, oh, I forgot, he's one of my chassidim, no wonder. He got it from me. He's very comfortable. He was never in my house before, he's a younger man. Comes in, and I told him, you did wonders for my wife, for my shalom bayis. I told my wife, he ate up the whole stuff. He loves your stuff. I says, I should pay you $1,000 for the, what did he give for consultation when you go to the shalom bayis? The therapist, what would they take for a thing like that? A lot of money. You just did wonders. Well, my friends like your food. That's the way to go. And so, Hashem Bayachai Shabi Melitz Yesha and Mashgiach said you got to start loving people more. And you got to start not being critical. Reb Shimon Yachai was critical, Chas v'Chalila, to say we don't understand him. But the Gemara says that a Talmid Chacham get angry easily. The Torah is fire. It's the Torah that gets them. And the 24,000 Talmidim, people that are big on Torah get like that. Pechus Karitza says that it's very hard for big people not to look down at everybody else. And they get the midas, they have issues with midas more than other people. It's not their fault, really. So 24,000 were nifta. We don't understand them. Chas v'Chalila, so tights them up. But for ourselves, we got to be careful, have covered for people big time. Daven, Hashem, make me respect this guy. I don't have enough respect. Help me. Daven your head off. Always daven. Make you love him. Do a lot of that stuff. That tefillah, I can only say, it's Badik and Menusa. Hashem loves that tefillah. So Hashem, twice, he had to go back into the cave. First time, we're going to blame it on the Romans. Second time, what do you want from the Romans? The Eibishter said go back because you're criticizing everybody. You're burning up everyone's crops. So you see, and I would like to say, Be'ezras Hashem, and I'm saying it, Faket, as a Shvachter Hashem Yechai. I want to say that his criticism, Madrega, was very high. Because why the three Tanaim were discussing the Romans. He was the only one, all three could do Tchias HaMesim. These are Tanaim. They were giants, Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Yossi, Rishon V'Yachai, Gemara and Shabbos, Lamed Gimel. And Rabbi Yehuda said, they're so nice. And there's nothing wrong praising Goyim. The Gemara speaks about, the Gemara says, I like the Persians for three good midas that they have. You're allowed to see good. Chavis Avava says, you see a dead dog that smells, you're supposed to see good. The white teeth are beautiful. See good, say not wrong. And Rabbi Yossi didn't say anything. Rabbi Shimon Yochai was critical. Critical into the cave. Now, it sounds like he was in the cave because he was running away from the Romans. I have a aura that it could be the Eibishter wanted him there because you're criticizing. We have critical people. A Matzayra, Lahavdil, can't compare them to him. Matzayra, there's a cave outside Yerushalayim where the Mitzrayim used to go there. Out! You don't belong here. Critical? Out! We don't like critical people. So he was critical once. That way you can be done either way. I want to Taina, he was not get critical. And Yitaki was, and it was perhaps a Chasaran. Although Chas v'Chalil to say anything, but I'm going to come out ahead with him. Watch. Because he's going to do tshuva. And then the next time he was critical again, and this time the Eibush said, go to the same Einish. And being in that cave, he said, this is like Gehenna. He said, if for 12 months, he says, the worst Russia doesn't spend more than 12 months, he called it like a Gehenna. That's what you get for being critical. You bring Gehenna to the world, you're burning up the whole world, so you get a Gehenna, whatever, but main Gehenna. Now, his son didn't change, Rav Elazar of Shimon didn't change, and he's still burning up everything, all the crops. He sees, why don't you go learn? Why are you working? And he burns up everything. These are the real Kailite, real Leonin. He's a real Litvak, Rav Shimon. But next time Rav Shimon tells his son, Rav Elazar, stop doing that. He was a Marapa. When he burned up, he says, no, Refuah Shalema, all the crops you burnt, I'll cure them. Why? And he says, don't do that. Why not? You and me are such tzaddikim. The world doesn't need more than us. We're holding up the whole world, so they'll let them do what they want. So I taina, this Gemara is Gavaldik. All those people who are critical, you know how to stop doing it? Say, why are you critical? You think you're better. Say like this, I'm so great, the world doesn't need other people as good as me. I'm a great guy. You don't need more people like me. I'm good enough. That's it. The world, it's good enough with me. So that way you won't look down at anybody who gets some self-esteem. Usually people are critical because they feel something's wrong with me. You're chas v'chli to say that he had that malach. But anyway, Rabbi Shimon Chai is an example of a good eye. Rabbi Akiva and Nifta for two reasons brought down. One is no good covered zebazeh, and the other one's our ayin. They didn't fagin. So when a critical person doesn't fagin, he doesn't understand, he doesn't look away, he doesn't do that stuff, right? So Rabbi Shimon Chai became an example of ayin tova after that. I heard Rabbi Bidman says the same. Mekuda. So I want to tie it. The only real example of an ayin tova is a person who's by nature critical and changes. That's why he's the example of not being critical, because you once were and you changed. Those are the best people. If you're born a nice guy, big spiel. The Kotzker Rebbe said, the Eibishter says, I have enough malachim in Shemayim. I don't need malachim here. I need someone who has a Baal Taivanik, and he's critical, and he has bad midas, and he works on it. That's a good man. Who else was like that? Leo Navi. Leo Navi was once very critical. He had to leave the world. You see, you leave the world. When you're critical, Chazal say, Shmoma. The whole world was desolate. 24,000 were nifted. They weren't critical with each other. Gone. And Rabbi Shimon in the cave. Chas v'shalom like a Matzayra. Away from society. You're critical. Out. We don't want you here. And so he came. Any person who works on not being critical belongs here. And he doesn't belong in Gehenna. And he belongs in Gan Eden. And the world needs those people who work on not being critical. If you don't know if he was too critical, he had to get on a fiery chariot and leave the world. And he swore, he said, Eibishter, from now on, I'm going to a bris, I'm going to say good stuff about everybody. So he is the example of an ayin tov Eliyahu Navi. So we got the biggest people Klal Yisrael ever had that are with us. Like Rabbi Shimon is like part of us. And Eliyahu Navi for sure is like part of us. And poke those two. Well, one's critical, and they changed. So they're an example for all of us. You want to become great? Work on that midah. And if you're a critical type, good news. The biggest people had that problem. Of course, we have no shaykhs to them. we don't understand. It's a sin to say that we understand Shema Yechai's criticism. Never! Whatever that means, halavai, we would be 2% of... Oh, but for us, it sounds like he was sent twice for being critical. Right? And look, you could be someone sent back twice for being critical, and you end up the example of the extreme opposite. So the big Baal Taivanik, who's struggling with his Taivas, or the guy with Kidda, or with COVID issues, or depression issues, or anxiety issues, you can become the extreme opposite. And you're dafka the best person for that. What?
Once you said from the middle eat cake, where was it? Not on if somebody's stressed or
stressed. Someone's stressed. Stressed, eat cake, enjoy yourself, eat ice cream. So Rabbi say, go eat as much. The moral of the story is, eat as much ice cream as you want. But daven, Eivishter, from now on, I want a different mahalach. I want to eat and lose weight by eating. It's a new mahalach. Do you know what the mind can do? I'll tell you a story. It happened to a shagitz. I read about this. A shagitz. I picked up this book because I needed it. I avoid those books. These days especially, we have such kosher stuff. You need to look at whatever. But here's the case history. A guy had oranges coming out of his body, the size of his growths. He had yanamacha. And he had for 2 years suffering with chemo and radiation. Something like 2 years, until suddenly one day somebody told him, you know, they made a whole mistake. You really don't have it. As soon as they said that, everything shrunk. And he was cured. For 2 years, he was normal. And 2 years later, someone walked over to him and said, they just found some of your tests. It's not true. You have it. So, and a month later, he was dead. Do you think it's a joke? The power of suggestion? I told the guy who, on his own admission by his family, I'm not normal. And on the telephone, boy, that's how he sounded. He was carrying on like really crazy guy. And I brainwashed him. It's misdiagnosis. He's 40 years old. He said when he was young, they saw he's not a normal person. I says, it's not true. They made a mistake. You're very normal. I noticed this. I noticed that. I spent a month on the phone with this guy. He had ADHD. He had OCD. He used to call me 10 times a day. I used to speak to him a lot. Every time I spoke to him, I screamed at him, it's a lie, it's a lie, it's a lie. No, you're normal, you're a great guy. He came a special trip. He lives about 2 hours away from here. Took a special trip to come to Lakewood to thank me. He was a different person. I brainwashed him. Misdiagnosis. I can do that to a person who was taka diagnosed with bad stuff. If I tell him long enough, it was a mistake, the Eibishter will make it turn into a mistake. The power of suggestion, the power of your mind, everything's just a mind. Where you see things, that's it. You can cure anybody. You can say, well, my mind tells me I'm a big tzaddik. I advise everybody to do that. Hold from yourself. And you're going to go places. Keep telling yourself, I'm a great guy. Keep saying it.